Hi, my name is Dylan,
My name is Rion.
and we're here with Mr. Conroy, and this is episode 2 of season 4 of STEM Talk. So tell us a little about what you do, Mr. Conroy.
So I am currently a technology education teacher. I teach AP Computer Science Principles Engineering. I teach some woodshop classes, and I teach a second level engineering class.
So what about those classes do you enjoy the most?
So I started off, I got a mechanical engineering degree, so I absolutely fell in love with engineering. Decided to go a different route and become a teacher, and I just absolutely love engineering. So that's really what I try and incorporate into all of my classes. Even my woodshop classes have the design aspect where they're planning out their projects and they're getting their ideas and bringing them to fruition.
Yeah. And how long have you been teaching for?
So this is my 8th year and my 3rd year here at Livingston High School.
Nice. Wow. Okay. And how do you see technology developing in the future?
So it's pretty wild. I mean, in just my years being alive, technology has really increased so much. I mean, just cell phones when I was your guys' age were flip phones. That was when the first touchscreen really started to come out. That was when the first Bluetooth headphones started to come out. I had a little block for a Bluetooth headphone that had to connect to the phone.
Oh, wow.
And then those headphones themselves are really big and bulky. So that's just in 15, 20 years. And it just keeps on getting quicker and quicker. So it's definitely going to be wild to see what technology really starts to come out and really starts to change our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from what I've seen, technology has developed so much in my 15 years of living, and it's just a lot of people think that it's almost hit a ceiling, it's hit its barrier, and we're not going to see as much progression for technology. So what do you think about that? Do you think it's going to keep growing, or do you think we've almost hit its limit in ways?
That's an interesting one. That's a hard one to really figure out. I mean, I understand certain things probably will hit its limit, but then you look at some of the technology the Neuralink software where they're actually able to get the chips going in brains and get stuff connected where it could go one of two ways. It could really start to plateau, or there could be some really big innovation that really throws everything on its head, and like AI, and really start to make us wonder what really are the new limitations now. What's the new plateau that we're going to end up getting to? I really do not have the answer, to tell you the truth.
Wow.
I love technology. I've always been one to try and be on the top, but I mean, who knows what the heck is there?
I mean, I don't think anyone has the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different variables that go into it. There's so many different aspects of what makes technology develop.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite piece of technology that you're using in the classroom right now?
So in the classroom right now, my 2 favorite pieces of technology I would say is the laser cutter and CNC router, and also the 3D printer. I guess it's hard to decide between them. The 3D printer I've always loved because as an engineer, being able to design something on the computer and then throw it at a machine and actually have that end product just like that, I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And then with laser cutters and CNC routers, you can really customize some cool woodworking and metal work that you want to do.
100%.
Those are, I'd say, more the 3D printer, just because you can do so much more with it, but also that laser cutter and CNC router are pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, for our robotics team, we use a 3D printer every day. I mean, it's basically our entire robot. So what are some cool things that you've made with your 3D printer?
That is a loaded question. I've made a lot of cool things. I actually have an entire PowerPoint presentation I'll have to show you at some point.
Yeah.
I'd say one of my favorite ones is I had an old tablet laying around, and I made a mount to be able to mount it underneath the cabinet in my kitchen. So now I'm able to use that tablet. I even put a Lazy Susan on it so that it could swivel in the kitchen from underneath the cabinet. And we use it for looking up recipes, watching YouTube videos, and things like that while we're in the kitchen cooking.
Wow. So that's on your cabinet, and it just goes up when you want to watch it?
So I actually designed it as a hinge, so technically it could go away, but we never actually put it away. It's always out. I actually ended up redesigning it where it always stays out because we never ended up putting it away. It got rid of like a break point, and it just always sits underneath the cabinet. The kitchen, it's probably that high off the counter, so the tablet itself is probably that high off the counter.
Yeah.
It's always plugged in too, just because it's always die. I got to figure out a good way to hide the cord a little bit better.
Yeah. So you talk so much about how technology can develop and like the future and history of it, but how do you think we can use this advanced level technologies like in our everyday lives, such as like AI, for example?
Really, you got to figure out what works for you and what problems or situations you're running into your everyday life. It's going to be different from everyone, in my opinion. As a teacher, I use it to really help me with the paperwork aspect, help me organize a paper, help me write some reflection questions that my students need to write to help them reflect on a particular project. I also use it to brainstorm what projects I want my students to be doing, kind of use it as a brainstorming situation. Someone to do some really quick research. I think that's one thing it's really good at, is figuring out that research aspect and using that research to then develop your own ideas. Because you got to keep the person in the loop is my biggest thing, is like the human being is what is able to organize and justify a lot of the information that you get off of them.
So you seem to be very pro AI. How do you go about that as a teacher, especially with a lot of rules around AI in schools, and how do you promote or dispromote AI in your students?
So my biggest thing here is AI is not going anywhere. Even if I absolutely hated AI, my students are going to still have access to it. They're still going to be using it in college. So it's like, hey, my job as a teacher should be able to adjust with the times and figure out a way for you guys to utilize it to help you give a step up. Like, I know one thing, I read an article about like computer science students graduating right now are at a disadvantage because they were trained on traditional computer science. All right, whereas there's students that are just self-taught on AI and they're able to do the work of 10 regular computer science students. So it's like you got to roll with the times. And as a teacher, you always know, hey, you're a lifelong learner, so you just got to keep on learning with the life you're through.
Yep.
So, what is your favorite way that your students, or even yourself, or anyone, can use AI in both like their learning or just anything really?
Like I said, I think the biggest thing is the brainstorming aspect, being able to figure out what's out there. As a example, I'm a really big proponent of Smartify my house. I love using smart devices. So I just ended up trying to find out what devices are out there, what's going to be my best type of technology to go with to make my smart home apparatus private, fast, and secure. You also personalize that to what you want to do. Like there's two different big technologies out there where, hey, one of them requires a lot of computer programming, all right, a lot of actual writing of programs. I don't have the time for that as a teacher. And then there's another version where, hey, a lot of that is done, but there's a big old community out there to help you with certain devices. So I ended up going that route, and that's one of my favorite places to use it. There's so many different places that you can use it. Where do you guys end up using it?
I mean, definitely school a lot of the time. I like to use it as a Google like substitute a lot of the time. Like if I'm trying to just find like quick information, Google gives me all these links where I have to search through websites. But sometimes it's just easier to ask AI, just give me a summary on something, just show me, because it's able to like collect so much data from different websites so quickly, faster than any human ever could. So it's just a lot easier a lot of the time.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I think in terms of our robotics team, we use a lot of AI. I think not only for learning new concepts, but also some calculations that we might not be able to do. For example, we had to calculate the curve of our ramp for this upcoming season, which we may not have been able to do. So we used AI to help us with that, and it got us the right calculation.
Those troubleshooting purposes are one of the best things that you can use AI for. It's like it's like almost like a crutch to help you get to your end goal.
Exactly.
The human being is still in there doing like the thought processes, or it's like doing the back end work for us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what do you think the main importance is of teaching technology to the youth? Like, we understand why English is so important because we speak it every day. What do you think is like the key importance of learning about technology?
I think the major aspect is how much it influences our everyday lives. So because it influences our everyday lives, you kind of want to be able to understand and comprehend how it works. You don't necessarily have to understand how an engine works on a car, but you still have to understand that, hey, it needs oil in order to run. So that type of thing, whereas, hey, you don't necessarily have to understand how everything's working in your cell phone, but you still want to be able to be private and secure on your phone so that you don't end up risking your data.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things like that you need to know, but you don't need to be an expert on. And that's one of the things I love about the computer science AP Computer Science Principles engineering class that I teach, where, hey, we're skimming the surface on this really broad computer science topic. So it's like giving you some of that background knowledge that might help your life in the future be better.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, I mean, I've never heard of it, but like a majority of schools do not have an AP Computer Science Principles with Engineering course. So, like, just give like a quick like explanation on what that is
Sure.
and like why and like how it's different.
Yeah, so this is a new program that's being developed by a collaboration of ITEA as well as I know the program is called Excite. There's one other college, I think Hofstra is involved. I actually took my training for it at North Carolina State University. So they're in collaboration to get this more hands-on program. It takes the same AP test as regular AP Computer Science Principles. The major difference here is we're trying to incorporate robotics into the class to have it be more hands-on, get it a little bit more interesting, keep your guys' attention better, because you know your guys' attention span ain't great these days.
Absolutely.
And make it more interesting and more enjoyable. Plus, you also get like to see it actually working. I mean, engineering as a whole, in my opinion, is seeing that solution to the problem makes it so rewarding and so much more memorable.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm in your class, obviously, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, because a lot of the things that you learn in computer science, it's hard to necessarily apply them without like a large amount of knowledge about computer science. Because no one taking computer science principles can make an app, for example, but we can make things move with the robotics parts that we use. Yeah.
So while we're on the topic of attention span, how do you use technology to make your lessons more engaging and to keep them engaging?
So there are a couple different programs that I use. This one program I actually just started messing around with to help me with my college graduate class is called Nearpod. And what it does is it allows the students to be connected to the program, and while you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, it'll automatically throw up a slide there for you. Hey, everyone go and throw your idea on a collaborative board, and then we'll have a discussion about it. You have an open-ended question at a certain spot in the PowerPoint presentation. You can take a poll on a certain spot in the PowerPoint presentation to help get the kids to keep that engagement during the particular lesson.
Got it.
Absolutely. So if you were a student with passion about technology, engineering, robotics, anything like that, how would you use AI within the classroom, or would you use AI within the classroom?
So I actually have this conversation with my fellow teachers a lot, and it's essentially like some of the basic skills you still need to learn. Like understanding how a program works, how that back end of a program works, you still need to learn. But then being able to some of the details, the syntax stuff, the stuff that AI can do for you relatively easily, you don't necessarily need to dig too far into that. So it's almost like the grunt work. You should keep AI as doing the grunt work, where you're still the thought behind the process. You're still thinking about how it works, because that's the best way to make sure that you're able to actually check that AI is giving you the correct answer.
Yeah. So in our first episode of STEM Talk, we talked to 2 AI professionals, and they were really focused on students using AI, but more about like to help them and give them research instead of just to copy and paste the answers to the assignment. Because although that is an option, it doesn't really fulfill the purpose of school and taking that class in particular. So would you like agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's one thing I like about Khan Academy does a pretty good job of that, where, hey, you can use their AI assistant and they help get you to the answer. They're not just giving you the answer right off the bat. They're helping you think about the thought process of getting there, so that you are actually learning it in the process. That's one of the downsides of just throwing something in the chat GPT or Gemini and it regurgitating the answer. If you're not actually understanding that answer, what are you getting out of it? You're not really,
100%.
you're definitely not retaining it, that's for sure. You're just putting on a piece of paper for the grade. I think that's one of my biggest complaints about school as a whole, is the students are so worried about the grade, they're not thinking about the actual process. The process is the most rewarding part. Actually learning this stuff is the most rewarding part. And I bet you guys see that in the robotics. You're not worried about a grade in robotics.
Yeah.
You're actually having fun learning the content and the material to build that
100%.
robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, going back in robotics, it is like a very big thing to understand what's happening, because like me in particular, I'm not exactly building the robot or coding the robot, but it's still important for me to understand what's happening so that I have that information. Although I'm not directly helping us win competitions, like technically, I'm still having this podcast to talk to people and show like why STEM is so important. So, yeah.
Definitely.
All right, so I think more of a question, not especially about robotics, but how's your view of technology changed since you started teaching?
I wouldn't really say it's changed much, to tell you the truth, because I've always been a big proponent of technology. I think I've gotten more excited about technology, and one of the reasons I actually transitioned from a physics teacher to an engineering tech ed teacher is because now I get to actually play around with the technology, and I get to enjoy playing with the toys, as I like to say.
And so you mentioned how you were a physics teacher at one point, but now you do technology teaching. How has that like changed your perception, I guess? And like how is it so vastly different, although it is similar concepts in ways?
I think physics is so important in the sense of understanding how the physical world works.
Absolutely.
I just got very bogged down by the students' interest in it and the students' comprehension of it, because it comes back to, hey, they're only worried about the grade. They want to regurgitate the information, and they're not trying to. I absolutely love physics to the point where I love explaining it and getting the students to understand it. I actually still tutor it to this day because I enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
But also, the best part about the technology education classes is they don't have to take it. They're there because they want to be there.
Yeah.
Now, I did notice with the AP class, now some kids are just taking it for the AP credits, getting that grade booster on their GPA and whatnot, but they're still interested in the class.
Yeah.
They're still learning. They still want to be there, and that's one of the things I love the most.
Yeah.
I think I find it really inspiring that you're so focused on the kids' application within learning and not just getting them a good grade.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think that shows with the really like crucial classes that you've taught. So,
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So thank you for your time. I think that's all we got.
Yep.
And yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me, guys. Much
Thank you so
appreciated.
much.
Have a great day.